Coming to you from his downtown Denver studio, here's the Backstage Jazz Radio Show with your host, Steve Roby.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Backstage Jazz. I'm Steve Roby. My guest today is tenor sax player Taylor Clay. He begins his residency at Nocturne's Jazz Club on Sunday, October 1st. He's here to tell us about that and much more. Welcome to Backstage Jazz, Taylor.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Great. Could you tell us how your musical career began and who influenced your style?
Sure. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. When we moved to the suburbs in late middle school, and I was pretty much handed a saxophone. And I started taking private lessons in high school. My father's a drummer, a really fantastic jazz drummer. And so I was always listening to jazz. And when he saw the saxophone, he was really excited and pushed me and motivated me to kind of maybe start taking some private lessons, kind of get into jazz. And yeah, pretty much kind of got me into it. My early influences were, kind of more funk related things like the Brecker Brothers.
Yeah.
Maybe some fusion stuff like Yellow Jackets and Weather Report. And that kind of, opened the gate for a lifetime exploration, therefore after. So then after that, I went to college at the Crane School of Music in upstate New York. I got a degree in classical saxophone performance. And then after that, I moved out to Colorado in 2012 to get my master's degree in jazz studies at the University of Northern Colorado, and studied with Mr. Jim White and Steve Kovalchek, Dana Landry, Eric Applegate, Andy Dalkey. And that was really where I feel like I gained a lot of knowledge and tools to make a career as a musician.
Nice.
And then after that, I moved to Denver and have been here maybe 8 years now. Yeah, and it's been great. Made a lot of friends. It's a really great music scene here.
Yeah, isn't it? I really enjoy it too. I'm originally from California, from the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's a nice place to see some good jazz music. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, a lot of the people in Denver and Colorado are really big fans of the arts. I think just seeing music in general is something that is really big out here. And then there's a lot of jazz lovers. There's a lot of jazz students too from a lot of the schools. We have 3 or 4 major jazz programs here in Colorado that are, within an hour of Denver. So there's a lot of students here in Colorado that are learning jazz. So, we get to, meet a lot of these new students every year. And it's really great to see the pull that Denver has for jazz students. People going to CU, DU, MSU, UNC. Jazz, Colorado has a pretty strong and growing jazz education scene too.
How is it for the up and coming jazz musicians, players that want to get gigs here? Is it easy to say walk into Nocturnes or Dazzle? Do you have to earn your keep and play your chops a lot to get recognized?
Yes and no. I think it is easy to get gigs. As far as just like a working musician. Some of the first places you kind of go to, when I was in my early 20s, you're playing at hotels and coffee shops and bars and stuff, and kind of learning in that aspect, and then maybe as far as reaching out to some of the jazz venues and stuff, maybe that's a little bit when you have kind of your own project together. And that maybe happens after a little while of working as a musician, until you kind of feel like you have a voice to share.
Yeah. Like anywhere. Yeah. You gotta pay your
exactly.
dues. Yeah.
And these venues too, Dazzle and Nocturne, are really fantastic and are very encouraging and opening and really highlight the local talent here in Denver. So very grateful to have them.
That's great. When a venue is supporting of the music scene here, that's excellent. Let's give our listeners a taste of your music. This is a live recording. It looks like it was done during the pandemic. Several of the players on stage still have masks on. This is called Background Music and it was recorded at Nocturnes with the Clay Cordless Quartet. But before I play the clip, do you want to say anything about this event that you did?
Yeah. So this is with me and one of my best friends, Daryl Gott, a fellow saxophonist and musician. We hang out and practice together a lot and have been doing so for years. And we take on different endeavors every year as far as like different residencies. And, we've done one that was kind of dedicated to J.S. Bach and that influence with bebop. And this residency we did was more of a tribute to the great pianist Lenny Tristano and his followers, Lee Konitz and Warren Marsh, and their music.
Here's the Clay Cordless Quartet, recorded at Nocturnes. When we come back, we'll talk about your residency at Nocturnes. You're listening to Backstage Jazz, and my guest is tenor sax player Taylor Clay. I understand you've been hosting jazz jam sessions weekly in Denver for the past 7 years. What can you tell our listeners about this?
So I've been co-hosting the Metal Arc Jazz Jam session on Monday nights at the Metal Arc Bar down in downtown Rhino in Denver.
Yeah.
And this was the first jam session that I attended when I moved to Denver, and felt like that's where the jazz scene lived in Denver.
Yeah.
Pretty specifically. This art form is a culture just as much as it is a genre of music. And part of that culture is, the jam session and the hang and playing with new musicians and, going out and playing music, a lot of times late at night in a stuffy basement. It's kind of the tradition. But it's, that's where you network. That's where you meet like-minded people. And it's really important, I think, to generate a network of friends if you're, really serious about advancing in this art form, to surround yourself with those people, playing with all sorts of people, playing with people who are a lot better than you, sometimes playing with people that are a lot worse than you. It's a really inviting and fun scene. I'm really thankful to be a part of it. Definitely my favorite night of the week.
And for those that are new to Denver, if you found Nocturnes, just look across the street on the corner there. There's a little stairway that goes down to the underground Metal Arc Club.
Yeah, and that jam has, been going on in Denver for probably close to 20 years at this point.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a long-standing jazz tradition here in Denver.
Well, let's talk about your residency at Nocturne for the month of October. And can you tell us who's joining you on stage and what fans can look forward to?
Sure. So I'm going to be joined with some really good friends and excellent musicians. Braxton Kahn on drums, Jack Dunleavy on piano, and Seth Lewis on bass.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
This is a residency entitled Visually Informed, and this is going to be all original music that has been inspired by a handful of paintings from the 20th century. A lot of these paintings include Pete Mondrian, Pollock, Henry Matisse, Carl Holty, kind of some more abstract 20th century painters, and writing some music to it. And it's been a lot of fun.
Wow. How do you, I can see the inspiration behind the paintings, but how do you put music to paintings? I find that fascinating.
I feel like it's kind of this balance of not trying to be too programmatic with it. If I see a painting, that looks really happy, I don't necessarily want to just write a happy tune, and it really depends on the piece. So for instance, one of the paintings I'm doing is a Henry Matisse sketch of a tree, and it's just a single line drawing. And the inspiration for the piece that I wrote that corresponds with that painting was more inspired by the way he drew it. And as a single line, he has some quotes saying that he drew this tree as he was advancing. He drew the leaves as he was advancing along the branches and never went backwards. And that the space in between the leaves is just as important as the leaves itself, which, it sounds like Miles Davis talking about space. So it was just, some elements in the way he approached this art, this tree, that I, think can be expressed musically, or just that idea kind of gives me maybe some ways to approach writing a tune.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that with our listeners. It's fascinating. Will any of the artwork be on display at the club during your run? Or?
Yes. So we're going to have a projector and screen right next to the stage, and I'll be giving a little art history lesson to go along with my pieces. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Each week I'm going to try to incorporate, a new painting each week. So it's not just the same set each week. And then I believe it might be the 22nd, but one of the nights we're doing a renditions dinner, which is a you have to get a ticket for that one, but it's a 5-course meal that also is going to be paired with the 5 paintings and the 5 pieces of music. So kind of this 3-dimensional culinary, auditory, and visual experience.
Wow, that sounds great. Amazing. What an experience for the taste buds, for the visual, and for audio for the ears. You've got it covered.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Scott, at Nocturne, and kind of collaborating with him. I've been working at Nocturne regularly since they've opened. We have such a good relationship now, and Scott has really allowed me to kind of take some artistic chances and really be creative. So it's been really fun, and I'm really excited for this show.
Yeah, Scott's a great guy. I worked with him for setting up some of these interviews, and he's just wonderful.
Yeah, one of the best for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's tell our listeners, if they want to go see or one or all of your shows at Nocturnes, they should go to nocturnejazz.com for tickets, and especially that one that offers the dinner experience too. I would get reservations way ahead on that one.
Yeah, the renditions is something very unique to Nocturne, and I've been part of them before, and usually what they'll do is they'll take a jazz album. One of the ones I was on was Herbie Hancock's Maiden Voyage, where we played the entire album, every tune, and they paired a course to go with that tune. So it's musicians plus chef plus Scott. It's like a very interactive, hands-on thing, very creative, and a really unique experience.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I want to go. Before I let you go, what's the best place online, Taylor, I can send our listeners to learn more about your music and upcoming shows?
I'm really only on Instagram right now. Maybe it's, this one thing I need to get like a website together and everything. But just my Instagram, it's pretty much, just dedicated to my performance and saxophone and jazz related topics, but it's just Taylor Clay Sax at Instagram.
Easy. Okay. I'll put some links in the show description for this interview, and our listeners and website viewers can just click on a link, get tickets, find out more about what you're up to. Thanks for your time today, Taylor. I really appreciate it, and have a great run at Nocturne.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate you having me.
If you're enjoying the Backstage Jazz Show, we'd love for you to like, subscribe, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And now, back to the show.
Let me quickly introduce everyone in the band. On the bass, we have Mr. Hunter Roberts. On the alto saxophone, Daryl Gott. And on the drums, Mr. Braxton Kahn. And my name is Taylor Clay. I am the tenor saxophonist. Tonight we're going to be playing an assortment of bebop tunes that we've kind of arranged and harmonized. The next tune we're going to be playing is a Charlie Parker composition entitled Barbados.
The Backstage Jazz Show was recorded at Little Raven Studios in downtown Denver, and our producer was Craig Stevens. You can find Backstage Jazz wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to stop by our website, backstage-jazz.com, where all past and current episodes have been archived. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email us at backstagejazz@fastmail.com. This is Steve Roby. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Backstage Jazz.
You've been listening to the Backstage Jazz Show on the Arts Validation Network. Join us next time for more great jazz and interviews with your favorite musicians.